show presented by Inside Foos. My name is Keith Glenn, and I am joined once again, as always, by a fun panel of color commentators and talking heads. Have my good friend and colleague, you know him from Inside Foos as Jim Stevens, main color commentator. That's Adam Gilson. We also have a local promoter from the South Florida Foosball Club scene, host of the original Thunderdome, and competitor in this upcoming Thunderdome this weekend, Tommy Brewer, and a good friend and colleague right down the street from me here in Jacksonville, Florida, and teammate for the first Thunderdome, but he'll be competing with somebody a little different this time around, Jimmy Love. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
Yo.
What's up?
All right, gentlemen, so this is Thunderdome 2. A little bit of delay on this one. This event was supposed to happen back in October. The weather, there was a massive hurricane, hit the Gulf Coast of Florida, delayed the event, and we were postponed until now. So here we are, first weekend of January after the new year. We're going to be getting down there in Clearwater to compete. And obviously, this is a little bit different of an event. This is going to be in a hotel versus the brewery, second time around. Tommy, we'll go ahead and start with you as somebody who has been on both sides of this as a player and promoter. What is going to be different about this version of the Thunderdome versus the one we saw almost a year ago now?
Well, the main difference is the first one we played 5 rounds of qualifying per event, right? So there's singles, the bring your partner, draw your partner, and the designated draw your partner. And everyone played 5 rounds of matches in each of those events. So a total of 20 matches over the weekend even if you lost them all, right, and didn't make any finals or onto semifinals or anything, you would play at least 20 matches. This one we're doing 8 matches per qualifying round minimum, so we'll do more if we can. So, I mean, that's one less than double the amount of foosball that everyone who went to the first Thunderdome will play at this one. And, like, you guys were there. That was a lot. So it's going to be a grind. I think the biggest difference is going to be you're going to be a lot more tired, like 32 matches minimum over the weekend is I might hate foosball after this.
Yeah, so same format. Just for anybody, we probably should have gone over that at the start, but so the Thunderdome, this format that's being used in man tournament that took place in the early 2000s, the idea is that it's 4 events meant to find the strongest overall foosball competitor. So singles, self-explanatory, bring your partner, straight up, a monster draw, so you have a new partner each round, which I'm not sure was employed back in the day, but will be employed here. It's not as random as a normal monster draw. It does go by record. So if you're 2-0 and you get a partner that's 1-1 in the second round or the third round, then you will be facing a person who is 2-0 with a partner who is 1-1. So it's not as random as like a traditional monster draw, but that's good variation. And then designated draw, what that means is whoever the higher ranked player is has to play goalie. So if you're the strongest forward in the events and you're sitting there just below pro and you're going to be playing goalie pretty much the entire round of that designated event. So, Adam, you were there commentating the first one. Obviously, a lot of highlights. It was a very exciting event as quickly as it went by because it was a ton of foosball. What are you looking forward to as far as this one? I know that you're going to be able to get down there in a week here to go check it out.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to, and Happy New Year, by the way, to everybody out there. Really appreciate you having me on here on your show. The thing that I'm looking forward to are the stories and the storylines and, seeing who is going to be able to do what in this amount of time. Like, Tommy, you already talked about this. It's a lot of foosball in a short amount of time. Keith, we've talked about that too. It's a lot of foosball in a very short amount of time. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I feel like personally it is a good thing. I just think it's just not the normal thing. It's going to be, what'd you say, 32 matches? Tommy, is that?
That's you'll play 32 matches if you don't make any of the qualifying rounds. Like if you don't make it into finals and anything, you'll play a minimum of 32 matches.
So let's split this up in 2 different things. Like the beauty of the Thunderdome and that format is that you're playing a lot of foosball and you're presumably learning a lot about yourself during that time frame. That's something I'm looking forward to because a lot of the players that I saw at Thunderdome last year, were getting so much exposure to playing with not only people that they had never played against, they were getting exposure against people that they got to play with. And that's a beautiful thing, because I think that only makes foosball players stronger. But the thing that I'm really looking at, the thing that I'm looking forward to, are the storylines as far as who might potentially win and who might potentially be losing. And we have Evan McGregor, of course, who I don't think he was a dark horse last year, even though he came in and won it all. I don't think he was a dark horse in the sense that we know how this format works. And we know that the best singles player, the best lowest ranked singles player, has the best chance. And I speak from experience, because I won the second form of this way back in 2003, because that was my MO at that time. And he's no longer the lowest ranked player. He's like an expert-ish, right? So where is he going to place in this? And I see Noelia Arcos is going to be playing in this. Where is she going to place in this? There's a lot of things going on, and you know, I can only speculate right now, but I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this story chapter by chapter unfold over the course of that weekend.
Do you think it favors the lowest ranked singles player or the lowest ranked forward?
I think it favors the lowest ranked player that's best at singles, which could also include a goalie. I mean,
there was probably a lot of forwardness.
Right, and I think and I forgot how it worked out, because I'm thinking about Mike Green, and there was some other things that were going on there that Mike Green was like here or there throughout, that he was in competition. But I think you talked about it already, Tommy. It came down to the tiebreakers. If you win 3, right, in the qualifiers, it kind of changes. But you're going as deep as 8. Did you say 8? Okay, so that problem is not going to exist. You're going to winnow out the kind of, you know, those kind of issues.
We should have a very clear top bracket.
Yeah. No, that's going to be really exciting.
So let me ask you this. Okay. Just, I'm not disagreeing with your reasoning about who this format favors, but like, okay, your description of who would win it, right? The lowest ranked singles player or lowest ranked person with forward skills. Yeah, Evan won it, and I think like that describes him pretty well. But like after that is Mike Green, who that does not describe at all, right? Didn't Mike Green take second, and then Chris Carson, who it also doesn't describe well.
But I think for Mike Green, I think that mathematically it would have worked for him in his favor had there been, because what did you do? Like he won, I think, in 2 of the events or 3 of the events. Not only did he win, or he was up there, but I think it was, what was it? He had won 3, and there was some tiebreaker thing. Like, I think it didn't favor him in that regard, because there wasn't enough qualifiers going on. And I think that that's going to be evened out a lot more the way that you guys are running this with the changes you're making.
Yeah.
But if you want me to really answer that, Tommy, if you really want me to give you an honest opinion, I think you're going to win.
Me.
You, Tommy Brewer.
Little old me.
There's a bunch of good people going.
Yeah. You finished pretty high last time, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think I was the 4th. I was 3rd or 4th. I don't know.
I'm gonna say my top 3 right now, and let me get inflammatory. It's gonna be you, Noah, and Noelia. Noah Rosenstein.
Noah Rosenstein, who's going to be coming all the way from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Some very good points raised. The one I feel Mike Green did really well early because he dominated the doubles. He played with Evan McGregor, who went in the Bring Your Partner, and then the designated, because he is a higher ranked player, has to play goalie the whole time, so that favors him. And then he played the draw. Was he with Ethan? I don't remember who drew him in the draw, but in the final. But he was competitive up there. I think he was in first place until singles.
And he forfeited out of singles, right? He didn't even.
And that was what I was going to bring up, and I kind of brought this up when we were talking pre-show. Evan, much higher ranked player now than he was a year ago. He's well up into the expert range, so he's probably going to have to play goalie during the designated. But he's a kid that runs 9 miles on a Saturday morning of a tournament, and to play 8 matches at least per event. Whereas Green, great performance last year. Obviously a little longer in the tooth. He kind of fell apart. His arm was killing him by the end of the weekend, and to the point where he forfeited out of singles because he couldn't hold up. And I do think that the extended format for the 8 matches is definitely going to favor somebody who has, younger player who has the wherewithal to just play that many matches and hold up. Jimmy, you have competed in the first Thunderdome. You're going to be competing again this weekend. Who are you kind of most worried about? Who are you looking at as top dogs to take home the prize here?
Who do I think's the top three? Or
yeah, sure. Adam started with the top three. Let's just stick with the top three.
Good precedent.
Doubles, singles, whatever. Like pick an event. Like who are you looking forward to playing against this weekend?
Playing against, I'm looking forward to playing against everybody because everybody's better than me. So it's only going to help me, progress. So, but
that was the sound I heard in my head too. More of a slide whistle.
I can't get worse. I'm already at the bottom, so I can only go up. But
if Jimmy ever realizes how good he is, Jacksonville is in trouble.
No. I think Noah is one. Rob Cato could be in there. Bill Perry. So those are a few that I think we haven't seen yet in the Thunderdome.
I want to just do an asterisk here, like because I put Noah in there because I think it favors him a lot for the first three events. But the thing that really comes down to it, and the thing that is really interesting about this format is singles. Noah's going to have to try his Tilkis off in singles. He's not a singles player. I think that the other formats favor him as far as his ability to be forward and goalie, because he is a very good forward and goalie in this ranking. But when it comes down to is the singles, and what I'm hoping for, what I really want is for it to not be mathematically decided by 4:00 on Sunday. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's the beauty of this format is it could be done by noon on Sunday. It could be done by the last possession. And that's what I'm looking forward to here.
Right.
And Jimmy, you're good. Shut up.
Yeah.
Stop it, Jim.
Sure.
Yeah, the holidays.
Yeah, interesting. I think last time we kind of knew Evan pretty much had it locked up. I think he beat Tommy to get deep enough in singles that it was going to seal his
Yeah, there was like a third round match in singles on Sunday that it was done by then.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Chris Carson lost and then Evan won.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I played him in finals in singles.
And one of the most famous
that was a good final too.
The most famous picture from that weekend was the one that I took that everybody shamelessly stole of you two doing the heart thing.
It was a great finals, and now everyone points at it and goes, "This is why we tell you not to shoot slingshots." Like, great.
Yeah.
And have you grown from that?
A lot.
I tried a couple and I didn't make enough.
Has that made you a better player?
What define better, right?
Losing less, winning more.
No. But I disagree that that's what makes a player better.
Oh. Well, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if playing itself has to be evaluated, right? Like, I'm not a better player. Like, I don't feel like I'm a better player if I go up and do stick lane, stick wall, snake shot every pass. Like, I wouldn't feel like a better player. Statistically, like, I'd come out on top more. But, like, I probably would have quit this game years ago.
So it's not as fun.
It would make me a non-player.
Oh, I love that.
I 100% agree with Tommy.
That's awesome, Tommy.
It's boring to play that way.
Point. Yeah, but when you play the high percentage, the consistency stuff, it does get more boring, but it is higher percentage.
Yeah.
We saw, 2021 Worlds, Mason Graham made that great run in open singles. I think he got the fifth or better before getting put in the loser's bracket. Playing a very straightforward, methodical game. And that's not something you see a ton of in these lower rankings. Of course, this is a no pro event, so beginner, rookie, amateur, expert. That you probably, there are some players that are going to play like that, and there are some players that are probably play like that to their detriment. I know there's a couple guys, at least one or two guys out of Orlando. There's some traditional pull shooters, old school players out of that Orlando area that get long happy and just seem to have a hard time kind of finding something that works in an event like this where you have to play 32 matches, and if you're playing the same in this particular event, 45 people, if you are doing the same things over and over again and don't have another gear to switch it to, that can hang up, right? I think there's kind of something to be said for that. That not only is it 32 matches, but it's 32 matches against the same 45 people.
Yep. And that's if you're losing them all, right? If you're going to win the whole thing, you're going to play way more than 32 matches. Like you're probably looking into the 50s.
Yeah. Which that's insane to me to even think about playing that much foosball. I'm glad I'm not going. No.
And dark horse, Alex Jackmart.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong there.
Jackmart, still a developing player out of Tommy's scene down there in South Florida. Very good developing player. He was the highest ranked beginner at the original Thunderdome last year. Very good, still developing. Wouldn't be surprised to see him make a splash.
No.
Is he still shooting that Euro?
He'll shoot the Euro if you're not looking. Like if I don't want to give away a secret, but yes, he shoots the Euro. And like a lot of very unconventional stuff. His shot,
very unconventional.
His shot off the 2-bar is a Euro. And he can bank either side with it, hit it straight, cut it, do a short bank. He's a versatile player. And like, he'll get you. Like, you don't know what to be ready for.
Didn't he win the beatdown?
Yeah, he won beatdown doubles. He won beginner doubles at Florida State last year. He took second in amateur doubles at Florida State last year. I think there are probably in our local scene now only 1 or 2 players who consistently beat him. And he still like probably has a good percentage on those 2 and is a threat, for someone who's played for a little over a year. Like
sure. And those guys, the ones that he's playing against, they're wearing more plaid than he does, right?
That's true. Yes.
I think that's a big difference.
Yeah.
The plaid, the gingham and all that.
I'm looking forward to seeing what outfits he brings.
Tommy, I'm looking forward to going there and commentating, but I don't know. So schedule wise, what are we looking at? Like when's what and who and where and when and time wise?
Every day matches will start around noon ish. Like that's what we'll shoot for. So Friday it'll get going then. And then it'll wrap up around midnight if our schedule holds, which it should.
What?
Wake up, have a leisure. Yeah, go on.
Because I'm vividly remembering because you all were playing. You all were playing at the first Thunderdome. I, as somebody that has been to about 14 or 15 of these tournaments now and commentate on them, have only been to 2 tournaments that were just like amazingly clockwork. Like I knew I was going to sit down and do a bunch of matches and there was going to be a pause and then we're going to do a bunch of matches. Thunderdome last year now and the Portland mashup doubles that House of Tournaments did. And everything was scheduled out and it was amazing, plus or minus 30 minutes, whatever, right? But in the world of foosball, that's geological. 30 minutes is nothing. Nobody notices it. That's what I'm looking forward to this tournament. Is that the same thing that we should be expecting?
Yeah, it's what I'm expecting, right? This tournament has actually made me, I don't want to say nervous, but I'm kind of anticipating anything to happen, right? It's one, usually I'm the tournaments that we throw are in South Florida, me and Luke Watson, who's too sick to be on this thing tonight. But usually we're in South Florida. This is 4 hours away. So like all my backup stuff, a lot of the crew that would normally be there to help out won't be available. So like I expect it will run like clockwork, but I won't guarantee it. Anything can happen.
That's the
Kristen
song.
Gonna be on site for this one?
What's that?
Is Kristen going to be on site for this one?
She's not going to be on site. She'll be doing it remotely.
Oh, cool. Well,
What? Kristen Grogan is going to be remote tournament. How does that work?
It was so easy last time and so little effort for the tournament director that when we talked to her about doing this one, she was basically like, I don't need to be there. So she's confident. Like, okay, I guess I'm confident because if Kristen's confident that it's going to run like clockwork in the first one, then I should be because she's the boss, right? Like she's awesome at this.
Do you feel nervous about that?
Nervous about Kristen being in charge?
No, nervous about somebody that isn't there in charge.
Not really, no. I mean, I've taught remote. Like I'm so used to doing things remotely and having things done. Like I had a remote vet appointment for my dog. That like, no, I think it's pretty reliable. And like honestly, I know that if there is a problem, we call Daweed, he answers, and it's fixed in a couple minutes, right?
So you guys are using House of Tournaments.
Oh, absolutely, right. The software is strong, and if it needs to be stronger for something, if some problem comes up, he makes it stronger then. So like between it being Modern Foos, it being Daweed, and it being Kristen, like
things should run pretty smoothly.
I don't want to jinx myself, but what could go wrong? I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
It's next to wrap everything up. Yeah. No.
The anvil. Bam.
Yeah. And, like Tommy mentioned, South Florida Foosball is kind of. Are you guys officially the promoters of this, or is it RK Foosball?
It's both. Like we teamed up. Rob called and said he had an idea to do one there, and I was like, yeah, sure. Well,
that's of course Rob Cadle, who is the host of what has formerly been known as the Florida State Foosball Championships. Yeah. This year, being branded as the Master Open.
Yeah,
Masters Championship, something like that.
Yeah.
But just part of the growing foosball scene here in Florida as we get the year kicked off, right? There hasn't been any kind of major foosball tournament. I mean, we're sitting here filming this at 11 o'clock at night Eastern on New Year's Day, but this is going to be the first big real event of the season, right?
Yeah, and we knew that going into it, and like it's kind of a risk, right? I want to see kind of what we can get away with and what we can do and what can be done, right? And so, like, it's a week after New Year's when everyone's still. I don't think a major tournament would work right now. I don't think a major one would draw, one where you're counting on 100 or 150 people. But I was like, well, why isn't there a tournament there? If I do one that has 48, like, could I get 48? And it turns out that, yeah, you can.
My question is, how do I word this? Like, so next weekend, in 4 days, I'm going to Florida for the 4th time in less than a year, which is just a ridiculous amount a lot for me, more than I ever thought I'd be.
To?
What?
Is it some kind of addiction?
What I'm addicted to is the foosball.
We have a lot of substances, so
yeah, and your substance that I'm into is foosball. Foosball fun and frivolity. The point is this: is that like I'm curious. So this is going to be this is so the first Thunderdome was at a brewery, right?
Yeah.
And this is your more, I guess, for lack of a better term, like traditional, like a hotel venue, right? And I've been to this venue, and it's nice. I like it a lot. Do you think that's going to be an impact, or do you think this is just like part of the evolution? Because, oh my God, I'm doing this thing where I'm extempore
something anusously.
Well, anywho,
that's not a swear, Keith. Don't look at me like that.
Okay. What I'm trying to ask is that like, does this format travel? Like, does it matter where it's at? Is it as good?
We'll see.
Away from the state of Florida?
No, is it as good? Is it as good as a place like the 26 Degree Brewery, what this great hotel venue is? I think this is what it is. I know what it is. I'm watching this from the outside looking in because I live in SoCal and there's not a lot of foosball going on except for like what Noah's doing in LA and what Trevor does in Victorville. I think that you all are like have this furnace going on, all of you, not just the SFFC, but the Jacksonville crew, like all of your different crews are just like working on different things to see what actually works. And I'm really excited to see what actually works. Like, does this format work in the hotel venue? And if it does, oh my gosh, because maybe it's too much foosball. I don't know. But like in my mind, is there such a thing as too much foosball?
Yeah, we'll know after this weekend, right? Like there are several things that are experimental going on with this tournament that I think I'll at least be able to take into consideration for future events, and other people will surely notice them or ask me about them. And we'll do like for instance, it's 48 players, right? So 24 teams. And so my thought was, okay, like this got a lot of good press last time. People know what it is. I know there's a strong player base in Florida. how much promotion do I actually have to do on this? Right. Last one was the last Thunderdome was an awesome show. Like there were commercials for it and pre-interviews and multiple drafts of different flyers and all kinds of stuff. Right. Which is awesome. Is it a lot more work? Yeah. So like my question was like, could you do this with 24 and how much promotion do you need? And now I know they're like, you can do it with 24 teams. With like, we didn't really go hard on this. We did kind of the bare minimum, flyer, word of mouth, put it out there. And, I've had a couple people ask me even online, like, why are there any like commercials for it or any interview stuff? Well, because it's already full. Like why it filled up very quickly. Why would I, or at least got very full very quickly. I don't need to promote it.
That's a good point. And I think the other, it being when it is the first weekend after New Year's, there's one team coming out of Jacksonville. There were 6 for the first Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I think, which would bring it right back to, close to the full 64 players, 32 teams that were there last time. Yeah. So, I think that's a very good point, is that, we do have, and there is a lot of experimentation going on. We sit here, record this. They did a player draft, which how many people know what a player draft is outside of the state of Florida? We've done one here in Jacksonville. It's a really cool event. They're doing one in Orlando right now. Unfortunately, obviously everyone on this call couldn't make it, but they, well promoted. I don't know how many people they got, but Lexi was asking me. I think her and Noelia went up there. And I do think that having this in a hotel is going to translate well. Because while it is a ton of foosball, when we were at the brewery, it was, you have 5 minutes of downtime. You went and sat in one of the booths trying to get off your feet, whatever. Like now, if you have a little bit of downtime, you can actually go up to your room and relax. I mean, I don't know how much downtime you're going to have, but I think the hotel
0
will translate. Yeah, right? Yeah. But, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out as far as just it's a more traditional foosball venue. And I do think that the Portland mashup, Adam, that you were referencing, that was a similar style to this. It was a Swiss tournament, correct?
Yeah, no, the portion it was not a points race per se, but yeah, it was. And David, of course, part of the House of Tournaments Modern Foosball, he had the whole thing set up like it was scheduled. So I got there Friday morning and got in, and like Clay Toomey and I were doing the commentary, and it was from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. I think we did about 15 matches.
Oh
wow! Yeah, that's a boatload of matches to be doing, and I think that's the beauty of the Swiss system. Because and not to change the subject too much, but it's a lot. Like we were talking about the future of foosball all the time, and what makes it something that's interesting to watch, right?
It's the kids. And the kids are the future.
Yeah, but Tommy, you and I have had this conversation. You've been brutally honest with me. As a tournament director, your bottom line is not what is watchable, right?
Oh, what do you mean? What is watchable for you guys, for Inside Foos?
No, for a viewer. Like you have a bottom line to get the matches done as soon as possible, so that it's over with, right?
Yes. You're tournament director, yeah,
right. But and you're not trying to get the stuff that's happening. That it's like, okay, so the finals of this is it's 6 and 7 and then 8 and then 9, and then you have it. We've been to I was at tournaments last year where like the finals were happening for larger events at 11 o'clock in the morning. And but that is not I'm not trying to say anything negative about any of the tournament directors, because it's still a bottom line you're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, there's competing interests there, right?
Right. And I think the thing like the Thunderdome, the thing like the mashup is bridging these gaps and starting to make it so that, because nobody, like, come on. We're all talking about foosball. It's our niche thing. Whatever. We're having fun, right? But if we're watching baseball or soccer or whatever the hell we like, football, we are fully entitled and expecting that we can tune in on a Saturday or Thursday or Sunday, and between 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 in the afternoon, watch our thing and then go on and do something else. We can schedule around it. That does not happen at foosball. In fact, at foosball, it's almost insulting that the expectation is that you sit between noon and midnight as a viewer waiting for something to happen. And the same thing for me as a commentator waiting for something to happen. And this is the rub. This is the problem. It's no fault on the tournament director. It's no fault on anybody. It's just the way that it is right now. And things like this, like Thunderdome, like mashup, this is how the way, if this is the way it is, then the way it is has to change. And these are the kind of things are going to change it. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a format that kind of lends itself to streaming, right? Or to Inside Foos being there, right? Like if there's a good match that needs to be on table 1, you can talk to the tournament director and be like, this needs we need this. I've got to get this one, you know? And that's just not like other tournament directors could do that, but it would be catastrophic for their organization, right? It would just throw everything off.
And we've had those instances where we've been at tournaments, and I don't know how much Adam, because Adam and I haven't gotten to work a lot together, but I have been in tournaments where it was actually Adam, I think it was the tournament I was at. You messaged me like, "Hey, there's one going on 6 that absolutely." And
Mississippi State.
Yeah, and I think it was like it was the pro singles king seat match, I think. Anyway, it was a really good matchup, and that happened. I missed it, but then I went and talked to the promoter, and if the promoter is willing to work with you and just say, hey, like, that happened, like, it would be really cool if it didn't, right? Like, we can't demand to a promoter, like, oh, you know, give us these matches, but if you have a promoter that's willing to work with you, and obviously that's a lot easier to do when maximum you have 12 matches going on at once, right? Which is what's going to be going on. I guess you could have 24 matches going on during singles on Sunday for this Thunderdome, but you only have 12 matches going on at once. It shouldn't be, you know, especially with the promoters and hands-on that are participating, like Rob and Tommy are, should be pretty easy to get those better matchups on camera for you guys.
Yeah. Got to follow the drama, man. By the way, let me know if there are any matches that you want on table 1.
My match.
That's an offer.
I have your phone number. Don't worry.
What ranking system are you using, Tommy?
For which part? For designated?
For
are you using
the whole
Thunderdome, or are you using IFP?
Right.
Oh, when we did it, we chose to do IFP because the original registrations was directly after Worlds, I believe. That's when we opened registration for the first one. And we let people who registered for that stay registered, right? Because we didn't technically cancel it. We rescheduled it, right? Difference in wording. But so people registered at the rank they were at the Worlds update at the end of last year.
At the end of last year, tournament-wise, so to speak.
Yeah.
Obviously, a couple other big ones happened after that, but Colorado State and Michigan State, some of the other smaller state tournaments. But cool. I mean, obviously, and I don't know if anybody's actually gotten a chance to look at the House Tournament points. They're done differently. I'm profoundly confused by them. I'm curious to see when those actually get put into play. If a promoter ever actually, you know, somebody at some point is going to say, sure, let's use those.
We used them for the Beachtown Beatdown last year.
Only for, if I recall correctly, for the AB draw.
That's what they were. Yeah.
The split draw.
I'm pretty sure that they were used for that. They are confusing, and I think they're confused. They're not something I'm used to, right? Like,
yeah, it's something new. Obviously, there's going to be an adjustment period, and I know that
old,
a lot of time and energy has been put into it.
But
you know, just we are seeing more of this Swiss format, and I do think, at least as we continue to dive into this Swiss system, a harder look maybe, or at least these types of events where ranking really matters, right? Especially with the designated.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was this type of event that really used for the first time. But we'll see. You know, and I got to say the Swiss system, we talked about this. I think it was this time last year we were having this conversation. Will the Swiss system prevail? Will it continue to seep into the mainstream? And we've seen that, right? This is the 4th tournament. You know, you had Thunderdome, Portland mashup, now the 2nd Thunderdome, and then the Swiss system was used for the lower ranked events at Nationals.
And it was used at Texas State last year, right?
Oh, there was a Swiss Open Doubles with Swiss.
Open Doubles, yeah.
So that's 5 tournaments in a year, 2 major ones with Texas State and Nationals implementing, at least in some capacity, a Swiss format. It's kind of, I mean, we had this conversation. Is it going to stick? Is it not? And now I think, you know, a year removed, we're starting to see that it is seemingly around to stay.
Maybe. I mean, I think it'll catch on to the extent that tournament directors don't care about making lots of money. Right? It's a format that it really does. It eats up time and it eats up tables, right?
Yes.
Because like and that in turn eats up money for a promoter, or tournament director.
It's so like, my understanding is like in traditional Swiss, it's you have singles and you have doubles, and then it splits up into final groups based on performance. You're not going to have 30 of like what we've seen so far at nationals in Texas was 1 or 2, 3, 4. I think it was 4 events at nationals for the lower ranks, and then just open doubles at Texas. But it was one event at a major tournament that has 20 plus events,
right?
What's being done in the Swiss system, which is really not what it's meant for.
I don't think it. I can't. I really. I'm not convinced that those larger tournaments can even accommodate it without taking a pretty decent loss. Like, I don't know if it makes sense to have. You could never have every event at what are they, like 50 events at Worlds. Like, you could never have every one of them be Swiss.
Yeah, no. Where you're playing at least 5 matches and not half the teams get eliminated in the first 2 games.
Right. And so once you start reducing the number of events, you start reducing entry fees, right? Naturally, there's fewer people playing events. And then you start reducing profits and you start reducing payouts. So, like, I'm not sure it can transition that fully to those kinds of events.
True.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed in this tournament is a lot more experts and amateurs than there are beginners and rookies this time.
There were a lot of beginners and rookies last time, coming from all over the country. This time, looks like it's a little bit more local. You still have a couple teams coming from Chicago, like we mentioned, Noah coming from LA. But for the most part, it kind of appears to be a little more regional this time. A lot of the guys from Georgia, obviously a bunch of the players from Florida. The Bama boys are back, Stephen Darby and Alan Whittick.
Are there any beginners at all?
No, actually. Eric Wilcox, maybe? Is he still a beginner?
Eric Wilcox, Alex Jack.
I think Jack Wright's up to I think he's a rookie now.
He's a beginner in singles, but yeah, in this tournament he'll be a rookie.
So that's who I'm competing against.
I think there are more beginners than that actually, but I'm not sure. I don't have that list memorized or everyone's ranked.
Lloyd might still be.
Lloyd's a rookie, I think.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously there was a handful. I think Garrett, our friend out of North Carolina, was there. It's higher concentration of talent this time around. But why don't we go ahead and take that opportunity now? We already talked about a little bit who our kind of top picks are, dark horses. We do have the list of players here. And we have the doubles teams. Is there any one team that we're looking at this and saying that's the team to beat? Those are the players to beat. Anything that jumps out at you guys at all?
Rob Cadle, Bill Perry jumps out at me as a very good team with a lot of experience, like who know how to play under pressure, right?
Does Rob know how to play under pressure?
Yeah, I mean he's been playing for ever, right? If he doesn't, then it'd be weird if he didn't. Actually, I played him under pressure at Florida State in expert finals for expert mixed. Yeah, he plays okay under pressure.
Did you play fast against him?
Well, it was mixed. I was playing with Charlotte Ellis, and I play fast, like annoyingly as fast as I can, which is not like that fast. But it was him and Lexi, and we barely eked it out. Meatball, like very meatball.
Lexi is a good foil for because Rob folds under somebody beating him when they're playing fast.
Oh, good to know.
Good to know. Yeah.
Everybody that watches the show is like, "Thanks, Adam."
Is that company secrets? I'm just saying. Yeah. But Tommy shoots banks when he shouldn't. So there, and
never a bad.
I'll be doing the same.
But the other one, I mean, so obviously the other part of that, just talking about Rob is Bill Perry. I've only had the pleasure of playing against him a few times, but he's a very competent goal. He's going to be playing goalie for Rob, and he's also a very competent forward. Very good pull shooter. He's one of those guys I talking about out of Orlando. So that's going to play for his benefit. I think he's a mid-expert rank wise, so he'll probably have to play a lot of goalie during the designated, but he can do both. So that is one very good teams, real serious competitors for the overall picture. We mentioned Evan McGregor playing with Patrick Jellison, different partner than last time. Not sure why him and Green didn't partner up again, but that's going to be a good team. Patrick, very competent goalie. The few times I've seen him play out on tour. And of course, Green, who we mentioned, playing with Chris Forsyth, formerly out of Georgia, now residing in the Panhandle somewhere, I believe.
Yeah,
but Chris, yeah, they're down here now.
That's another really good team.
Forsyth, very competent forward. Only thing that stands out to me is he was dealing with some kind of shoulder injury last time I talked to him, or saw him at least. And so with a lot of foosball, 32 matches, we'll see how that holds up. But he's going to be, he's a very competent forward. And the other one, the only lady team, feels like we should talk about it. To participate in this event, Maggie Strong, I assume will be playing forward for the 2018 Goalie Award champion in Carla Wolverton. Obviously, Maggie, very strong forward, gotten it done at that level in that position for a very long time. Carla, very competent, two very smart players. Do we think that they actually have legit, or what's their chances of competing in that doubles event?
Good, very good. I mean, Carla, if Carla is a goalie award champion, like world champion, you've got a pretty good shot at it, right? Like no matter who your forward is, and Maggie's a good forward. Like I play with her a lot, and I play goalie for her when we team up together. And she's aggressive and she gets it done, right? She's gonna get the ball in.
Very true.
Yeah.
Adam, is there?
Yeah. My prediction, I really think, just looking at the brackets now, having an idea of who's playing, and getting an idea of what their points are, I really think it's going to come down to the singles way more than it did last year. I think that the singles are going to be really telling. And I think that it casts a wider net. I think that there's going to be a lot more opportunity for a lot more players than there were last year. And I will say the fact that we have 8 rounds of qualifiers is going to absolutely change things. I think that's going to really, 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 really show us and paint a much bigger picture, clearer picture of who will be winning early on until we see how the singles rolls out. And it's going to be so good. I'm so excited.
8 rounds of singles is a lot.
Not singles. It's not. You don't have 8 rounds of singles, right?
Yeah. That was 8 rounds of qualifiers in all 4 events.
You don't have qualifiers for singles though. By the time it gets to singles, it's seeded.
Still, everyone's still.
It starts fresh. It's a new event.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, then it's really it's really up in the air. That's not how it was. That's not how it was last year, was it?
Yeah. Everyone played
really
5 rounds of singles.
Yeah.
My God, what tournament was I at?
It was a lot of. It sounds like you guys are gonna have 12-hour days, which is a little. I mean, you're gonna be playing a couple more rounds than we did back then, but we only had, I think it was 8-hour days last time.
Yeah.
So just nonstop, go. I don't know what it's gonna look like this time. If you guys are gonna be a little more scheduled, if it's just gonna be we're starting, then we're gonna crank out as many rounds as we can. But
if I do, I'll do. I want to play more too. So.
Yeah, but
Tommy, are
it's
you?
Called the Thunderdome.
Tommy, are you in line for the restroom? Should we let you go? Looks. Oh, okay. He can't hear me.
No.
I think his internet's getting out a little bit, but that gives us a chance to kind of pivot a little bit here. Some of the other teams that teams I recognize, which means that I've seen him perform in some capacity. Jay Teal, who I think used to be out of Florida, but I think he's out of Wisconsin, somewhere up there in the Midwest now. Playing with Brian Phelan. Should be a good team. Shane Darby, not a guy I've seen play a lot, but I'm pretty sure I heard his name called quite a few times when we were at Nationals there in Kentucky want to say he might. I think he's one of the Missouri guys. Without looking him up real quick. But the why are you anyway? Jimmy's messaging our group chat while we're on the
wrap it up.
Yeah. So I mean, those are some other teams though that I expect to make noise. Obviously, Zach Hoffer I thought was a pro, very competent expert, playing with Rich Cotter. Rich was at the original Thunderdome, put on a heck of a show with his 2-ball.
I like his style.
Yeah.
Plays very unconventional. They're definitely worth mentioning. Dana Markham, Francis Quigley, couple veterans from the Tallahassee area. And then obviously we didn't really mention Tommy and Brian, but Tommy and Brian made a nice little run there too at the last Thunderdome. So
here's the surprise. Brian is not able to make it.
Oh.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
So who are you playing with?
I don't even know if I want to tell you. I think I might want to keep my ringer to myself.
So
no. Tell us.
Everyone else's partner
That's
ahead of
crap.
time?
No,
Yeah.
you can't do that. No, you
You're
tell
not
us.
supposed to tell. You know
Yeah,
that.
you are. That's crap. You got
Just
to.
everybody's partner.
We just told everybody else. You don't get that benefit.
You don't partner and tell.
Yeah, you do.
So I'm
That's how
playing
people
with,
know you partnered.
I ended up the same day that Brian told me he wasn't able to make it. Jerry Sherple from Cincinnati messaged me and asked if anybody needed partners, and I was like, just so happens I can do that.
Is Bronny coming too?
No, she's not. He's flying solo this trip.
Jerry, very good player. Is he gonna be man of the Nets?
I'm perfectly happy starting him back. I think he prefers forward, so and I think he'll get a lot of mileage out of his unconventional shot selection.
Yeah,
so
like pull shooter, Euro pin, gloves up, does it all.
Yeah,
just kind of lets it fly from the 3-bar.
Yeah, you're gonna want him on table one at least once or twice over the weekend, Adam.
Yeah. No, I don't know the name. I don't know who that is at all, so I'm looking forward to it.
Push kick too, right?
I mean, there's a shot.
Does it all?
Yeah.
Does it all?
But yeah, good player out of Cincinnati, I think.
Yeah,
out of Cincinnati. There's a lot. Ohio has a weirdly large, but spread out.
Yeah, they're all over the place, aren't they?
Columbus, Youngstown, Cincinnati. They show up to Kentucky all the time because it's right there. But
why not? Yeah.
But yeah, cool group of players. Haven't met a player from Ohio I don't like. But
I just got a text from Jimmy Love. He said to wrap it up.
What are you talking about, Jimmy?
Jimmy,
that's good advice.
That's good advice.
All right. Well,
teenager or a sailor.
Little peek behind the scenes there. The TV magic that is Foos. It's just that was the message we got while I was doing my bit. But yeah, so we can go ahead and jump right into it. Parting shots. Who's going to win each event? Who's your best competitors, and what are you most looking forward to? That's not necessarily football related. Adam, start us off.
Oh, pass.
All right, Jimmy. Trying to go.
Is he allowed?
I mean, it's going to be me. I don't know. That's all I got.
You're going to win all 4 events.
Yeah, all 4. The rookie will come from the back and win it all.
And you do have a very strong forward game, so that will benefit you for the designated.
Don't maybe. It all depends.
Thomas.
I'm going to be shooting unconventional.
Tell me about it.
Is wait, is Adam really allowed to pass? Like
I'm going to circle back to him. He looked at
looking
at something.
Yeah, I'm not having an opinion.
I want to go with Jimmy too. I want Jimmy to win.
Yes.
Everybody's just voting for Jimmy.
Clearly, I think.
Yeah, why not?
How can you not? Clearly, I'm thinking that I have a good chance of winning because otherwise I wouldn't be putting it on.
That's why I hosted open doubles in my garage. Ventura Open Doubles 2027.
So by the metric, it's either me or Rob Gadel.
Yeah, it's just got to be one of them, which was counterintuitive because promoters tend to not play as well.
Tell me about tournaments. Yeah,
unless you're Michael Stahl.
That's true. He did play pretty well at Michigan State.
Sounds like a lazy promoter. If you can still play well, you're not doing your job.
Tommy.
That was a joke. That was
obviously. Oh, it was a joke. You should get a neon sign above your head when you do one of those.
Michael Stahl's like one of the hardest working promoters in foosball.
I know.
Like,
yeah.
Clearly a joke.
Yeah.
I just cut out for a second. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, cool. All right. So Adam.
My storyline. There's two storylines. I'm not gonna pick names. It's just too much. But there's two things that I'm watching. Maybe three. Tommy Brewer. I think that you had a. I'm sorry, my cat is learning how to use the doorknob. He just jumped up and pulled down on the doorknob. It's like a velociraptor. He's learning. That's freaky.
If you had a stroke, right, which is what I thought was happening.
Yeah.
Right after saying my name.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know what would have happened to me for the rest of my life, but it would have been something. It would have been something.
That would have changed some things. Anyways, point is that there's three names. Tommy, I think that I think depending on your draws, there might be a good chance for you. Number two, Evan McGregor. I think this is going to be just a great. I say this, all the time, but tournaments, especially things like this, the crucible in which all the impurities are burned away, and I want to see what Evan McGregor can do, and I want to see if he starts moving away from the narrative that he started to believe about himself and started actually moving into the narrative that actually exists. We'll see. And number three, Noelia Arcos. Where does she fit in all this? She's high ranked. She's going to be playing nets a lot, but she can do it in singles. She can do amazing things from goalie. I played with her in at Texas State in the 4-on-4 thing. And yeah, we joke about that and blah, whatever. But like we beat some really good players, and we beat them because Noelia was doing things that were just unorthodox and unexpected. That kind of stuff counts in these kind of events that are Swiss that you don't see. You're not playing 3 out of 5s, right? So there's a lot we're going to be covering this coming weekend here with Inside Foos and watching this tournament. It is going to be, as I have been known to say, a hoot and a half.
Hoot and a half. You heard it here first. Just so I'm not observing myself, I am just going to make a couple what I feel, not necessarily bold predictions, but I think the Bring Your Partner event, I'm going to go with Caitlin Perry to win that. The designated, Mike Green's going to have that advantage, and we know Mike Green showed up before. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the running, top of the pile towards the end of the weekend. As far as the overall victors, Noelia is coming off an amateur world singles championship in open, not just women's. In the open category, she won amateur singles at Worlds. She can go the distance.
Well,
he was into that opinion.
We'll never know.
She can go. Oh,
I agreed with everything he said until he froze and left the room.
Did I freeze and leave the room?
You froze and left the room.
How long? Noelia Arcos coming off of a win in women's open singles at Worlds.
No, it was not women's open singles. It was amateur singles in the open department. So that was a huge field. There,
in the open
at Worlds. Yeah, like open meaning not just women's. Like open.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's not a men's event, so I don't like to call it men's, but a lot of people call it men's. But
yeah, it's called standard. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Standard amateur singles. She won the whole thing. Took home and table, which I think is now sitting at the bar down the street from my house. But she can go the distance. She can play a lot of that type of foosball. I think come end of the weekend, because of singles, it's going to be her and Evan McGregor. And yes, Evan won't be dominating the designated event like he did before when he was ranked a rookie or low amateur, because he's now ranked a pretty high expert. But I still think 8 matches in each one. That kid's, him and his brother at Texas State ran 9 miles on a Saturday morning and then went and played all day. Like, that's going to benefit him. That not wearing down, not, so I still think Evan is probably the top dog to beat. I know we kind of talked about this, that he's not, it might be tough for him to repeat, but I really look for it to come down to him and Noelia at the end. But
is it a race of 10
for singles?
For any of it?
That's what it was last time.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, you could potentially play 19 balls.
Let me tell you something. 19. By by the 5th or 6th ball in that race to 10 in any of those formats, it gets into a player's head like somebody on the caliber of Evan McGregor that they should be doing better. And then they slack off and stop doing good. And then they just are waiting for Sunday night when they can say that the format was not quite right.
We'll see. I mean, Evan's a young player, but
I'm just telling you this. I'm just telling you. I'm just freaking telling you.
Well, most of these people are going to have to be playing defense when we do the designated when I'm playing with them. Sorry. That'll be a loss for them.
Just pre-apologize to like half of Florida.
Yeah.
You're ranked higher than me.
Hold on. I got to apologize to my wife for.
So they're going to have to be playing back. So I hope they can play back.
Me too.
I can't play forward that well.
Yes, you can. Just
Nah.
I would pass far wall and shoot the rollover. But anyway, all right. So that kind of puts a bow on this one, guys. We're getting ready.
No. I would be remiss if I did not mention your new beard. New year, new beard.
What?
You look good. I like it. I like the beard.
Thanks. It's been growing in for quite some time. But I appreciate that.
You leader of men.
Growing it out a little bit. It got cold down here, so
Having facial hair makes you a leader of men, Tommy?
In this case, yes. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, I don't have a beard.
Actually, talking about just the Southeast in general, I know we talked about Florida. They're bringing back Georgia State. And I know we're here talking about the Thunderdome, but talk about a hotbed, the Southeast. TKO is at the beginning, Kentucky State, the tournament kickoff is at the beginning of February. Then we have Georgia state championships. I don't know if there's ever been a Georgia State championship. I'm just kind of block out my duck there.
No, don't. No, he's so cute. I love him. Look at him. What's his name?
Olaf.
He
barks while I'm on air.
That's your producer.
I call him my executive
I love
producer,
it. Yeah. Oh, he's so cute.
But yeah, they were shooting off fireworks earlier, so he's been
calling
up. But anyway, and then for the Masters Open is middle of April. Then we'll have the beatdown. I know that here in Jacksonville, we're talking about doing another regional tournament once we get our new location up and running. So really cool time to be playing down here in the Southeast. Battle in the Mountains, I think, is April sometime up there in North Carolina. So no shortage if you're looking to travel around here.
And then there's nothing from summer on.
Look, it's hot out here.
It's like none of us ever talk to each other. No promoters. Like, let's just do 7 tournaments in 3 months.
Well, you tried to do one in October.
Yes, yeah, we did.
But also, that's when there's a draw to come to the South. If you're going to come from somewhere else, is during the winter when it's warmer than here than it is, in New England or.
Yeah, I only care about me, and it's always nice where I'm from.
Yeah, and you host the beatdown in the middle of June when it's
Woo!
in Hades out.
Yeah. Don't be a wiener about it. Just do it. It's fine.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. So Thunderdome 2, Clearwater, Florida, at the Holiday Inn. 5 days away. Looking forward to it, gentlemen. Thank you.
Oh my God, I better do stuff. Holy shit, 5 days.
Let's start warming up. Yeah. Such language. Anyway, well, again,
I made it the whole way.
For Adam, Tommy, Jimmy, and I am Keith Glenn here from Max Foos. Thank you once again if you sat through us for this long. And Adam and Mark will be bringing you all the coverage of what promises to be another great event down there in Clearwater, just 5 short days away. Gentlemen, thank you again.
And also, hi, Luke Watson. We love you. We miss you.
Until next time.